People walked past the same corner every day, and most of them never looked twice. One man sat there with an empty cup, and the city felt hard and cold. One small change in thinking turned that cup into a doorway. Ethan took the same route to work each morning, and at the old stone fountain he always saw the same man. The man's name was Martin, and he sat on a folded blanket with a cardboard sign that said, "Please help." Some days there were 2 coins in his cup, other days there was only dust. On a windy Monday, Ethan stopped for a moment. Martin looked tired, and the sign looked even more tired. Ethan said, "Do you mind if I buy you tea?" Martin smiled and nodded, and they shared a paper cup that steamed into the cold air. "People don't care," Martin said. "They rush. They don't even see me." Ethan listened, and after a while he asked, "If they did see you, what would you give them in return?" Martin frowned. "Give? I'm the one who needs help." "I understand," Ethan said. "But what can you offer right now from this place?" Martin looked down at the sign. After a long pause, he said, "I can listen. I can tell stories. I used to read poems to my daughter when she was small." Ethan felt a small spark. "Then change the sign," he said. "Don't ask for a favor. Offer a value." They found a fresh piece of cardboard behind the cafe. Ethan handed over a marker and said, "The words must be simple and true." Martin wrote slowly, "Trade 2 coins for a short story. I will read it to you." He set the new sign in front of the cup, cleared his throat, and sat up straight. The first hour was quiet, but the second hour began to move. A student stopped and said, "I only have 2 coins. "That is the price," Martin said with a smile. He read a tiny story he remembered about a boy who kept planting seeds even when the ground looked dry. The student laughed at the last line, put the coins in the cup, and took a photo to show her friends. More people came, some because they were curious, some because they loved books, and some because they just wanted to hear a kind voice in a busy day. A delivery driver asked for a story about luck. A nurse asked for a story about rest. Martin did not rush or act desperate. He read slowly, with care, and every ending felt like a small light. By afternoon, the cup held more than coins. It held eyes that met his eyes, and thank yous that sounded like respect. Ethan returned after work and found Martin reading to a child who clapped at the happy ending. "I ran out of old stories," Martin said, "so I started to make new ones." The next week, Martin added a second line to the sign. "Pay what you wish, free for children." He did not beg anymore. He offered. He still sat by the same fountain, but the corner felt different, like a tiny open-air library where strangers became listeners and left a little lighter than they arrived. A teacher from a community center passed by, heard the voice, and stopped. "We host Story Hour every Friday," she said. "Would you like to read for the children? We can pay a small fee." Martin looked at Ethan with wet eyes and said yes before the moment could slip away. Fridays became the best day. Martin shaved, wore a clean shirt from the center's closet, and practiced the stories all week. The children sat in a circle and waited for the first line, and the room grew quiet in the nicest way, like the calm before rain on a garden. Months later, Martin had a room of his own at the center, nothing fancy, but it had a bookshelf, a window, and a kettle that clicked when the water boiled. He still visited the fountain sometimes, not to ask, but to invite. Story time at 4. Come if you can. The cup was gone. In its place stood a small box with paper hearts the children had cut and colored. Ethan often stopped by after work. "You were the one who changed it," Martin told him. Ethan shook his head. "You changed it when you changed your words. The city did not become kinder. You became a giver, and then the city noticed. The lesson was not magic. It was simple, and it worked. When Martin changed from 'please help me' to 'let me give you something,' the world changed its answer." If you like this story, give it a thumbs up, comment below on what you learned, and share it to inspire others. See you in the next story.